As all of us football fans know, there is a big difference between strikers and attacking midfielders. A striker scores goals, an attacking midfielder creates them. Simple, right? Well, not entirely. What about a player that excels at both? A sort of jack-of-all-trades type. Where do they fit into the 11-man lineup? Meet the false nine. Preferred by many a manager throughout history, the likes of Johann Cruyff and Pep Guardiola, the false nine role is a hybrid position that combines the skills of both striker and attacking midfielder. The term false nine comes from the fact that even though the player might wear the number 9 on his back, they don't play in the same way that a traditional number 9 normally would. In more modern times, this role is typically played as a lone forward in a 4-3-3 formation, but in the past, it is reminiscent of the standard number 10, a player that can drop in to facilitate for their teammates, but also has a good enough shooting ability to score consistently. Just like all the other positions in football, these players have a ton of attributes in their arsenal that contribute to how they play. Some are seen predominantly as strikers that can create as a secondary trait, and others are more suited to midfield that are threats in front of goal as well. Overall, the false nine is an electric position on the field, so let's dive deeper into what makes it so intriguing. Strengths. The main advantage of the false nine is their difficulty to mark. From a defensive perspective, the space in between the defense and midfield is a confusing area of the pitch. This is exactly where the false nine operates. By occupying this no man's land, neither the centre-backs nor central midfielders of the opposition want to mark them. Thomas Muller is a good example of this, coining the term Raumdeuter or space interpreter. If a defender decides to take on the job, they would need to step out of the defensive line to do so. This then creates a gap behind them for the opposition to exploit, whether that's another striker, winger or late-running centre midfielder. Similarly, if a midfielder goes to mark them, then they have to drop incredibly deep and sit almost as a third centre-back. This pins the midfielder back to an extreme defensive role, and you, potentially, lose an option on the attack. The false nine's positioning gives the player a huge amount of freedom, which can disrupt a team's defensive structure. Combining that with the permission to free roam, and you've got someone that can cause chaos offensively. Another strength of the false nine is their enhancement of link-up play. This is more suited towards a playmaker that has been moved from a midfield or wide position into the number 9 role. Think of Lionel Messi or Cesc Fabregas, for instance. By having a player drop slightly into the midfield, the passing options are multiplied, helping the team keep possession and move the ball more fluidly. Essentially, the false nine plays as the central point of many passing triangles in the attacking third. They are the middleman for getting the ball moved around quickly in compact areas, linking the wingers and midfielders. Doing this high up the pitch requires someone with good vision and quick feet, which is why a lot of smaller, more technical players are favored in this role. Pause equals 300. Weaknesses. One drawback of playing the false nine is that the team's wide areas can be exposed. As the false nine drops deep, the winger's job is to push up the field and try to get in behind the defense. This leaves a huge gap between winger and fullback. If the team loses possession, the fullbacks are left on their own on an island, becoming subject to easy counterattacks and overloads. To mitigate this, a midfielder may be forced out of position in order to help the fullback, and then gaps start opening up across the pitch as the team is outnumbered like a domino effect. Additionally, there is an over-reliance on the wingers to score goals. We've seen this with Jurgen Klopp's Liverpool side, where Sadio Mane and Mo Salah were the primary goalscorers, and the team's success depended on them performing in front of goal. My other issue with the false nine is that by playing this particular role in your team, you miss out on typical striker traits. This doesn't apply to all the players, but the majority. Things like a target man or a long ball/outlet pass are unavailable as they don't work well with the false nine's strengths. Hold-up play, aerial threats, runs in behind, and clinical finishing are all attributes that are taken away. This shuts off other possibilities in style of play, and can pigeonhole the team into playing in one specific way. Eventually, the team may get found out in a game and can't adjust. Over the years, we've seen some of the best the game has given us play the role of the false nine. Most notable of these, I've already mentioned, the likes of Lionel Messi. But there are a lot of underappreciated players to adopt this position that deserve some credit. Teddy Sheringham, over 400 Premier League appearances, 237 goals and 80 assists in all comps. Perennial England starter with 51 caps and 11 goals. Never mentioned in conversations around the best Premier League strikers ever. Dennis Bergkamp, Arsenal invincible that sits 6th in all-time Premier League assists with 94. His partnership with Thierry Henry lead Arsenal to 3 Premier League trophies, and was arguably the most fundamental player on those teams. Racked up 87 goals as well. Roberto Baggio, one of Italy's greatest ever forwards, Ballon d'Or winner in 1993 and 2x Serie A champion. 198 goals in his Serie A career where he played at a high level, consistently, for 16 seasons, averaging a goal every 2 games. Matthias Sindelar, the original false 9 known as the Mozart of football, captain of the 1934 Austrian Wunderteam, scoring 26 goals and 43 caps in his international career. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Who is the greatest false 9 ever? Is the false 9 underrated or overrated? What current players can you see adopting this role who doesn't already?